guys, it's Didi here, and I'm super excited about today's episode because it's not my usual episode. It's just a conversation with someone who became very dear to me, my friend Alexandra Eidens, the creator of the Big Life Journal, who is visiting me in London. So last time we recorded that in New York about 8 months ago, and now she's coming back talking about what parents can do to help their children install growth mindset, how you can dream and create and turn your dreams into a reality, and how you can navigate your maternity life with building a business. Alexandra Eidens is the co-founder of Big Life Journal, a company which inspires kids to dream big and go after their dreams. Alexandra and her team are on a mission to help children be more resilient, believe in themselves, and know they can achieve anything they want out of life. Alexandra and her husband Scott created their first growth mindset journal for kids in April 2017. Since then, they have seen a tremendous success around the world. Now they're working on their new journal for teens, which is expected in September 2018. So hi Alexandra, I'm so happy to have you here again in London this time. It's been 8 months since we did the first conversation that I had with Alexandra in New York, and now she's visiting London.
Yes.
She's staying with me, which is more than exciting.
It is very exciting, yes.
And I would love to have you on my show again.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad that we're doing this again.
Yes, so I think that our audiences are so much similar, and a lot of the people who follow my channel, they can really benefit from the knowledge that you have and the things you can share with us. So absolutely. I really want to start with the Big Life Journal, and if you can share briefly, what is it about, what does it do, and how does it support families?
Yes, sure. So Big Life Journal, as you know, because you have a copy, it's a growth mindset journal for children. And we created it almost a little bit over a year ago, so it's quite new, and it is designed for children ages 7 to 11, and it is illustrated journal, and it's a guided journal, so it has guided questions, it has poems, it has stories, it has illustrations, it has quotes, so it's very interactive. And it is designed to teach children growth mindset, as well as other things like persistence and self-belief and positive positive thinking and mindfulness and gratitude. So all these important things that we want our children to learn, and it's a tool that parents can use together with their children to learn these things.
Yes, and I know that you said it's for children between the age of 7 and 12. And what you've done in this short time, because Alexandra launched it last year in April, so it's been only 14 months, you've built an amazing community, and your community is very large. And I know that you have very active community on Facebook as well, and your blog has been read by hundreds of thousands of people. Yes. And I'm sure you have a feedback from parents. What is it that they find so much useful for the journal?
Yes, we do have a very engaged community, and this is one of the biggest benefits, I would say, of what we do, because people do need support. Even you do have a journal, you do have a tool to teach your child these things, but you sometimes have questions, you don't even know where to start. So we have a lot of parents that come in and they just learned about growth mindset as a concept. They might not have even read the book, Mindset by Carol Dweck. Yeah. And teachers that come to us, they probably a little bit more familiar with growth mindset, but they still don't know how to teach it to their children, right? How to their students. So when they come to our community, what we do is we offer a lot of additional support in terms of even like activities or worksheets or articles, like you said. All of our articles are research and science-based, so we try to translate, the science in an easy language for parents and for teachers. And when community comes to us, actually, your question was, what is the feedback that we receive from parents?
So what is the things that parents say that it helped them so much?
The community is the number one thing that a lot of people mention, because, of course, you don't have to buy the journal to join the community. It's absolutely free, and the resources that we share are also free for everybody. So the support, and also we have a Facebook group, and there's interaction between parents and teachers among each other. So sometimes we don't even interfere in those discussions because we just listen, and it's amazing to see how people share their own experiences with each other and teach each other. So that's, I would say, a number one biggest benefit that we created for people.
So I think your Facebook community has about almost 70,000 people with this stage. Yeah.
I think it's actually about maybe 50,000, but our subscriber list is very large.
Your followers, when I followed in the group, were about 70,000. So for me was, how do you manage to keep such a large group at times when everyone is fighting for our attention?
Yes.
Everyone is fighting for, people following their own stuff. So what makes you creating a group that has about 70,000 or 50,000 members in such a short time?
Yes. It is. It's actually a very short time. If you think about it, the group was created last August. So it's not even a year old. And it's just ballooned. And there are several things that we've done in the group to make sure that people feel comfortable and welcome. First of all, it's a private group, so you are free to share your personal stories, and you can be sure that it doesn't go outside of the group, because you can't share outside of the group. And we have a Facebook group manager that personally approves every single application to join. So we screen everybody in terms of, if there's any suspicious person. Of course, we welcome every parent, and then we make sure that there are very fruitful discussions. So every single question or post is also screened by our Facebook group manager. And then we have a guideline for members, what kind of questions we welcome to the group. So it's about growth mindset, about...
So you have your ground rules.
We have ground rules, and we are very strict in the rules. And that actually keeps the group very disciplined and focused. So if a person comes to the group, they know that what kind of information they will find. And then, of course, we very, very welcome the questions, because the questions, that's what generate the discussion. And that's where people start sharing their own tips and nuggets. That's where the best parts come out. So I think all these things that we take the group very seriously, and even though it's a free and group that anyone can join, for us it's such a valuable contribution to our community. For us it's a very important,
and it's a great feedback, because from there you would know, are you going to a direction that can serve your customers and your followers? It's not even customers better. What are the things that you can,
absolutely,
I would say, adopt, or what are the things that are closest to people's hearts in terms of raising resilient children or installing the growth mindset? So it's amazing. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because I've been following your journey right from the beginning.
Of course.
And I know how quickly the success happened for you.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, Didi, now, it is not a quick success, because a lot of people think that it's overnight success, and it wasn't. We did have a first trial when we had our first Kickstarter. It was actually failed. It was 2 years ago. And there were a number of reasons why it failed, but it did fail. And before that, Sky, who is my husband and a partner, we tried other businesses, which failed again. So I wouldn't say that it was a quick success.
Of course. So you say that it's very... Well, when you look into the journal itself and the community you created, even with the failed Kickstarter, you only started 2 years ago. So even for 2 years to build what you've built by now, it's short span. Of course, you're stepping up upon the qualities and the skills that you've built before doing that. But again, from the outside world, it seems like this is something which you managed to put together in a very short time. Short time being 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. So that said, for me, I'm just thinking, because now your life is very different than it was 12 months ago, right? So how does this success change you?
It changed everything. So, and the reason why I was very interested in becoming an entrepreneur from the very beginning is because I was looking for a certain lifestyle. And at that point, 2 years ago, when we started the journal, I was pregnant with my son. And so my goal was to create business so I can also take care of him at the same time. So of course, I was also thinking about, how our life is going to be in the future. And I have to say that this is our life right now is exactly what we wanted. We kind of designed it. So everything that we were doing, we had this dream life in the back of our heads.
That's one of my questions, because I really want to talk about later on how you create in your mind first, and then you make it happen. What sorts of your goal setting process? Is it very much about you have this dream and then you work on the dream knowing the things that work for you personally, because we'll talk about that later. But with Alexandra, we have lengthy conversations about hustling and hard work and what are the ingredients of entrepreneurship and what are the things that make people tick. And, by coming from where I come now, and my opinions evolved and they are different than they were last year, I come to the point that it's so much personal for different people. So some things work for some sort of people, other people need to find what's actually the ingredient that motivates them. But okay, so I'm diverting a bit. So back to your point, you feel that it's different, but now you are very close to the way you imagined your life would be once you have journal.
Well, first of all, yes, it is where I wanted back then 2 years ago. Now I have more dreams and more aspirations. The dream changed, exactly. For you, for sure. I'm sure it's the same. Like, you always have new horizons to reach. So for us, of course, it's the same way. We have different, actually we're talking with Didi if we should move to London, for example, because we are outside of New York City. So that's one of the options right now. There's a big benefit of being an entrepreneur. You can work from anywhere, but also there are a lot of, struggles of being an entrepreneur. So there are good and bad sides. But our life changed very significantly. We both had full-time jobs when we started working on side gigs, and then eventually we quit the jobs, and then now all we do is Big Life Journal, and we have a lot of new exciting projects in Big Life Journal coming. So it is absolutely became, a 180-degree change in life. And that's, like I said, I'm so happy about this because this is exactly what I envisioned and also took action to make it true, right?
Yes. Okay, so going to the action part, lengthy conversations that we have with you on the action part. You are a great believer of hustling.
Yes.
Right? I know that Gary Vee is one of your inspirations, one of your mentors. He's all about hustling. Yes. Do you think that this was sort of your main ingredient for getting you where you are at the moment? What is it that you think helped you to achieve the success you achieved, considering you don't come from an entrepreneurship background, you don't come from a place where you actually knew that you're going to create what you created?
Right, yes.
So what is it?
I think there could be different definitions of hustle. Sometimes hustle could be unproductive. You could do a lot of things that don't give you results. And you just create even for yourself in your mind, to create a kind of illusion of work. But I think what is important, or at least what for me, was the consistent daily action. And it was very focused action because I didn't have a lot of time, because I was taking care of my son full time. I had very little hours here and there, especially after he went to sleep. It was late nights and, early mornings. So I was very focused. I knew I had little time, and I did it every single day. So the moment he was born, I think I had 2 weeks off, until when he turned 2 weeks, I started basically working every single day. And that, I believe, that was the success where it came from, right? So is it hustle? I don't know. Like, it's just consistent work. Like, what is the definition of hustle?
That said, I really love Gary. I've been following him for a quite long time. Now, for the past, let's say, 11 months, and for the people who follow my channel, they probably will see that I am diverting a little bit more towards the law of attraction and towards working on our energy and vibration, so that maybe the things can come to our lives easier rather than being hard. Because hustle, for me, sometimes I've never in my head, when I created my businesses, or before that when I worked in corporate and I had my successes, for me hustle was the norm, to the point that it's non-negotiable in my head. So there are certain things that I have to do, and some of them are things that I don't really like, but in my head I know that I have to do them, and that's part of my reality at the moment. Right now I'm thinking more about, okay, if there are certain things that I don't feel like doing and I just don't do them,
right.
Right, so somehow the universe may resolve them for me if I feel good about it. Like, if I feel that I'm not doing the work and I should be doing it, then it's not going to work. But if my vibration is high, then it must be a way that things can resolve easily. And we talked a lot about that. Yes. Let's say how I market my business now. I don't market it at all, and I still see great results. So something which took me lots of attention and lots of effort before. Now it's going well without me putting that effort. So I'm really moving from hard work brings great results towards feeling good, feeling happy. It's all about the feeling satisfied brings great results.
Yeah.
And of course it's a journey for me.
Yeah. I agree with you, but I feel like if we go back to Gary Vaynerchuk, he's definitely all about hustle and hard work, as you said. But at the same time, I feel like that's what makes him happy.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is another example. So these people, they really take their happiness and joy from the work that
Absolutely.
they do. So
and I'm the same way. I enjoy work. You know, for me, I think that that's where I get my alignment, so to say. So when I do work, I feel great. And then maybe that's why the results come. You know, who knows, right?
Yeah, and of course, and you said you're result driven as well.
Yes.
So for you, it's important to see the results. Yes. And that's what brings you joy at the end. So we spoke about that even if a campaign fails or if something fails, you still have the joy from going through the process.
That's true. Although the failure part, it's very tough. You know, like I understand the benefit of failure, and you know, this is something that we teach in the journal to children, and I try to teach my son, who's still only 2, but in little ways, right? I kind of, when he does something and he fails or makes a mistake, we make it normal and don't overemphasize it. But at the same time, I feel like getting to the point where you feel good about the failure, it's a quite difficult journey. I don't know, thinking back to where our first Kickstarter failed, that was difficult, when we didn't know why it failed. Was it the idea wasn't good? That you go through an entire process of first you disbelieve and then you're mad and angry why people didn't support you. Like there's a whole range of emotions that you have to go through. So at the same time, I look back at that time, and of course, I learned a ton. I mean, that's why we succeeded the second time, because we learned so much.
Because you learned so much from the things that didn't work. Yeah. Like if you even take it from the Seth Godin, there are things that don't work. Then you learn from them those things, and then you build something that works after that better, and you adapt the process and you change it. So in a way, for me, that's not a failure, and I very much redefined what failure is in my mind, and it's very much about what Richard Branson would say or what other inspiring entrepreneurs would say. It's just a feedback. Like you can make it work if you change the course, right? You may fail again and again and again, but that's not a failure. It's a feedback for you. So.
Yeah, some people think that failure is not trying. So that's a true definition of failure. You have, if you haven't tried, then you probably failed. But if you're trying and doing things, like you said, it's a feedback. I like that.
So you went recently to Gary V.
Yes.
What was it? It's the 4D.
It's a program that Gary Vaynerchuk has a digital agency called Vaynermedia, and they offer a program to small medium businesses that where you go for a whole day, and then they teach you all everything that they're good at, the personal brand, the marketing, the Facebook, the Instagram, and social media. And also Gary Vaynerchuk was there too.
So he was face to face with you. How was that for you?
It was amazing. I mean, I am like you said, I'm a big fan of Gary. I'm a big fan as a person. Like I connect with him and his personal energy. To me, I feel where he's coming from a very good place, and his intentions are very good and sincere, authentic. So when he says that he wants to genuinely help people with advice or his videos or his content, it really is true. Like you could feel that. So that's number one. Like I could feel that genuine approach. But overall, it was a great experience because I was able to ask a question, and to ask Gary Vee a question, it's a very precious opportunity.
And you need to really be to the point, so you don't lose the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And he did say that. He said, I want you to be very tactical. Like don't ask me like high level questions. Tell me about your business so I know where you're coming from, and then you ask me a specific question, which I did. So
and you had your answer.
And we absolutely. He more than that. Like of course he was asking. He picked up the phone. He went to our Instagram page and he was like, "Oh, let me look what you do on Instagram." Like he was very like hands on. Like it was for him. He wanted to really, really help. even though it was like 5-minute conversation for him to know my business was difficult right away. But he's so experienced. I feel like he already knows where people are coming from and what kind of difficulties people are having. So that was absolutely
So how is this going to help your business now? In a way you're introducing or implementing some of the advice that he
Yes, he definitely gave us a lot of advice, and even listening to advice that he gave to other business entrepreneurs, owners, it was valuable because some of them I could also see that it relate to me as well. But definitely, there's a lot of good things. For example, he spoke a lot about the importance of personal connection with your team. So if you have team members, if you're a manager, if you're a business owner, and you have people on your team, he overemphasizes the importance of building personal relationships, which are not only based on work. And that's how you create dedicated team that looks up to you and actually follows your vision. So that was a very important point that I took seriously.
So that's great. I mean, I'm so excited for you.
I know, and he does say if you are happy with yourself and with your life, you don't need to hustle. If you're complaining about your life, if you're not happy, then you have to change something. So maybe hustle. So it is. I love this approach.
Agree. Complaining is a big thing for me. In my channel, I talk a lot about it because I think it's number one excuse and number one thing that actually contributes to people have flat life or miserable life quite often.
And we're writing for our blog, we're writing an article, how to respond to your children when they complain. And we give very practical tips for parents. How do you even respond to that?
So what is one thing that you would say for our parents who are watching now?
So we offer a lot of very good suggestions, including even scripts that you can memorize and we learned that parents really like that because sometimes they, in the middle of the situation, they get lost, and after the situation is over, they remember all the good things that they should have done. And they get upset. So we offer a lot of scripts and kind of things that they can even read in advance, and something will come out. But we do say, first of all, we say in the very beginning that complaining sometimes can have a deeper reason. So you have to maybe find out what is going on in your child's life before you disregard it. So that's important always, kind of be in tune with your child and know when it's just a complaint, just a whine, where is something serious going on, right? So, or it's a call for attention. Children sometimes complain when they want attention. So does your child get enough attention? But one interesting tip that we somebody from our community suggested is to make it accepted with humor, and maybe she even said that what she does is when their child says, "I don't want to go to school," she says, "Okay, well, tell I really, really want to go to school 5 times." And then she makes them say that. She's like, "I really, really want to go to school." And then they start laughing because she says, "Say the opposite." And then when they start saying the opposite, the humor comes out. And then they start laughing. There's because it's to them sounds first funny and then not true, and then they so she kind of turns that into humor, which I like that.
Which always helps.
Which always helps with children, right? So
yeah, that's a great thing. For me, I have personal theory. Okay. I just came up with it when I was thinking about complaining and why do we complain so much and moan and we're so negative. And when I did my video a few months ago, I think I did a video on complaining. My theory is that complaining is completely learned behavior for people because little children don't really complain. I don't know, have you seen Mikey complaining about something?
Not really, yeah.
Normally I work with children at my school as well, and I can see when they're between 2 and 4, they very rarely would complain. Of course, they'll be upset if somebody is taking something from their hands or anything like that, but I've never seen with my own child when we wait on a very long line somewhere, or if our flight is delayed, or if anything that creates a situation where people normally complain, I never see him complaining. He's as happy as he would be whether he's playing at the airport or whether he's playing here. So for me, it's a learned behavior, and it becomes a habit in time. So
and it becomes a habit. There's a scientific reason why it becomes a habit, because the more you do anything, including complaining, your brain connections that will make it easier and easier
the
for you.
neuroplasticity. So in a way, you wire and fire these connections, and what happens is that in no time you start complaining, moaning, and I can see it for myself as well, because I'm still complaining, although I'm going through the non-complaint diet, and it's really one of the hardest things to do. So if you go through 21 days or 30 days without complaining, then it really can.
It is as hard as any habit. Like quit smoking, it's very hard because it's just so inside. You know, your brain is automatic. These actions are automatic. So any reversal of any habit is really difficult.
And in a way, for complaining, it's even harder because there is this additional benefits that people get from complaining. So we spoke about it yesterday. It's a great conversation starter.
Yes.
A lot of people love starting conversations based on complaining about something. Then it's great for excuses. It's great for when you want people to feel sorry about you in different ways. Or it's positive thing for lots of people. That's why we started using it in the first place, and then we are caught in it's net, and then we need time to work on getting rid of it. But for children, I assume, especially between 7 and 12, what your journal does is will help them as well going through these phases.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, it's a very difficult kind of thing for parents, because we get questions about complaining all the time, negative thinking and complaining about the situation from children. So, and that's why we wrote this article, because we just thought, okay, we have to cover this topic. But it is definitely something that comes up very often.
Alex, you work with Scott. How do you find it? What are the frustrations of people who want to start doing business together with their partners?
And it's true that some spouses just can't work together. And
it's very individual in a way, but I see it more often. So
but for us, the beginning was difficult. So I have to say that we kind of, it was a difficult beginning because we didn't really, it was a new relationship that we were building. We were not, we were husband and wife, and before that we were boyfriend and girlfriend and friends, but now we're suddenly co-workers, and that's a business. So it was different. It's a new relationship that we started to build. But what was, I think, very helpful is at least for me personally, is to give up my expectations of how Scott should be in the business. And I completely let go and made him, and let him be who he is, right? In this, so let's say I'm very action oriented. So I need to, if I have an idea, I have to act on it today. Like for me, like even I can let everything else go if I have an idea to do something. For Scott, he's very thoughtful. So for him, he can marinate this idea for days, sometimes weeks. And it's not only he's sitting on it, which for me is just crazy. How can you not do it? For him, it was he's researching, maybe thinking. He walks with my son, and he thinks about it. He reads something. So it's a completely different world to me. So in the beginning, it was hard because I thought that he was just not doing things, whereas he was crazy upset without me because I was just so intense, just let it go. You don't have to stay until 5 a.m. to do it. And we just can let each other be who we are. And now I don't ask him questions. I know he needs time. So when he says something, I'm not immediately saying, so when are you going to do this? So I let him be who he is and take time. He takes his own time, which is, for me, I understand. So you have to be, very open-minded in this regard, to how it's going to be, might be very different from how you expect it to be.
Of course, because if you work with other people, you hire them, you get into a sort of, or you're working in a partnership, but you get into some sort of regulated, I'm saying in inverted commas, but in a relationship that you know what you expect and you have all your expectations in a way met, because that's why you're looking for this sort of person.
Yes.
But when it's your partner, then you're splitting all other responsibilities as well. And when you do a business, so how does it go now? It goes well for you guys.
It's going very well since we let go of the expectations and we now respect each other's, personalities, mode of work. So it completely, I completely let it go, and I think he completely let it go. So it's going very well now.
What's your day look like? What is a good day in your schedule?
So our day, Monday through Friday, we mostly dedicate to work. Right now we take care of our son, who's only 2, 100%. So we don't have a nanny, we don't have a daycare, we don't have grandparents nearby. So it's Scott and me 100%. So he would take him in the morning, and he will spend time with him before lunch. Then we have lunch together. I come home from co-working space, and then we switch. So then he starts to work, and then I spend the afternoon, and then Mikey goes to bed, and then we work again. So it's so I love this because Mikey gets both mom and dad in the day, and then we get to work, and then we get to spend with him time. So for us, it works.
It works, and that's what you wanted. So in a way,
yeah.
So where are you heading towards now? What is unfolding for you?
Yeah. So from a business, from Big Life Journal perspective, we're working on 2 new products this year. It's very exciting, but it's also, of course, a lot of effort. So we're gonna have 2 Kickstarter campaigns. One for journal for teenagers.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I've heard of it. It's so much needed.
It is much needed. But the interesting part is that we started working on it because people were asking for it. So I never even thought that I could create something like a journal for teenagers. But we had so many requests, so we decided we have to do this. And then Scott is working on conversation cards, which are growth mindset conversation cards for families, which is also a very exciting project. In the personal life, I think that we might be looking to move.
Hopefully to London.
Hopefully to London. So and so grateful that we have this flexibility to do that.
Yeah, of course, because you're not married to a job, and then you can work from everywhere. You're on a tour in Europe now, right? You just came back from Bruges. You're going to Germany.
Yeah, we're going to Germany. So we are, as we work every single day, we still have, travel. And we go, right now we're in Europe, and then we're going to go back in 2 weeks to the United States.
Okay, yeah, and probably I'll come and visit you guys.
Absolutely. So I hope we'll see you in July.
Who knows?
Who knows, right?
Yeah, and something else I wanted to ask you, because since you're staying with me, I sort of get to know you better. You are vegetarian. You're very cautious about what sorts of foods introduced to Mikey, which is extremely similar to what I've done with Mika. The most important thing for me when I raised Mika was to breastfeed for a long time, then to make sure he gets the best food until at least his immune system develops, and when he's 3-4 years old, then he can be introduced to the pleasures of, let's say, sugar and things like that. But you're vegetarians as well, so...
Well, we pescatarians.
Pescatarians.
Yeah, we eat seafood,
Yeah, what's behind your choice of being pescatarian?
Well, it is... originally, it came from the quality of the meat, and then we learned a lot about how it is, at least in the United States, the farming situation, animal farming. So we strongly disagree with the meat production in the current environment, and that's why we would like to contribute ourselves to not eating meat. And then, of course, to get a good quality meat, you almost have to know the farmer, the butcher. Like, you have to know those people personally. You have to see how the cow, was raised, and what the cow was eating, or the pig was eating. So it's a very complicated process. So if we decide to eat meat, or if we decide to give meat to our son, we have to know the source, and for me, it's a very big responsibility. Like you said, to whatever he eats is very important. So that was the kind of the idea behind.
So it's from very much ethical and consciousness reasons.
Yeah, and the source, and how much the whole production impacts the environment as well.
So do you cook at home?
100% every day. No, I do.
You do cook the cooking?
Yeah, we do. Almost every meal we cook at home.
What's your favorite?
We do a lot of vegetables and rice, and Mike, he loves pasta, but we offer like chickpea or rice pasta. He loves that. Very similar. Like, I know, since we're visiting you, we can tell that your kitchen is very similar to our kitchen. So we do vegetables, and I'm so thankful that Mikey is open to vegetables, because I know that sometimes kids just don't even acknowledge vegetables.
It's one of the questions that I've been asked most often on the show. It's how I can deal with picky eating at home, or my children don't want to even touch food, and there are different ways to help that. But when you start early, and when they get used to eating from a colorful plate, then it's so much easier.
So much easier.
So for me, it's always about not creating bad habits, because once you create them, similarly to complaining, then it's so much harder to break them. But if you create an environment where you don't have to, I call it favorable environment, which is very similar to Montessori philosophy, where they don't have these temptations or these things that potentially I feel that they're not good for them, then it's so much easier.
Yes.
And you don't create the conditioning. Like we saw yesterday, we went to a restaurant and it was so funny because immediately the waiter asked us, oh, do you want for the children juice? And both of us were like, no, so don't even ask the children.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, for me it was so important not to create this habit at Mika's life when we sit in a restaurant for him to have a dessert and a juice, because the next time when we go to a restaurant he would want it.
Yes.
But if he doesn't know it exists, for him it's only water, then it's so much more easier.
It is. But there's a hope for parents who started late. Yeah. So of course, children are very flexible. They can change and learn new things.
Yeah. How do you feel about, because you work with so many parents, and my audience is predominantly parents as well. How do you feel about parenting, raising their, I don't even want to say that because I don't feel it's like, I feel that a lot of parents become more conscious and mindful in the way they raise children, in the sense that they're looking for information, they're looking for strategies, they're looking for resources. I didn't feel that was the case at my childhood for sure. And around a lot of people around me that I saw. And then I see that there is so much information and people are looking and asking questions. How can I be a better parent? How can I do better with my children at home? How can I sort of let them be who they are? So how do you feel that this process is going on it's not a process, but this movement is going on
in the world? I feel, first of all, because there's so many more resources and people just by having access to internet, which our parents didn't have access to it, they didn't even know, right? So the whole world existed of mindful parenting, positive parenting, which is actually a quite recent trend. So of course, now with all these resources that are available to parents, and most of them are free, and tons of programs and courses and webinars and books, so
it can get even overwhelming.
Absolutely.
People get like, do I do the right job as a parent?
Oh my gosh, I question it myself all the time. But at the same time, there's basic principles that repeat almost in every book. So once you kind of learn and start reading a lot of books on parenting, you start seeing similarities, patterns. So as long as you do the big things right, you don't sweat about the small things. Okay, you said something to your child at the moment and it wasn't right, just let it go. But like in the big scheme of things, you respect your child and you listen to them, you ask questions, you treat them as a person, as a human being. So all these big things, they are enough, right? So of course, parents can get overwhelmed. I'm sure your audience. Yeah,
for sure. And then me too. It took me, now I'm so much more relaxed, specifically this year, since I'm working in sort of a different, working more on my energy and vibration and letting go. So I work a lot on letting go. So parenting became a little bit easier for me, but I've been very harsh on me by saying things that I felt that I shouldn't have been saying, or doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. So I know it can be a very difficult journey for lots of moms, because lots of mothers tend to carry this guilt, the maternity guilt, like, am I doing the right thing for my child? And then we feel that it's our responsibility. So every single part of the development of the child is our responsibility. So if it doesn't go the way we think it's the right way, then we beat up ourselves. At least that's what I used to do for myself pretty often. So I'm learning to let go. And for me, by letting go and by showing my son that I'm living my true self, in the sense of I'm caring about myself, and I'm caring about my vibration and my energy and the things that I'm putting out there, I think that I'm giving him a good example. For me, parenting is very much about role modeling. What do you role model at home? What do you show to your children? And it's very much about the values that you express so that they can pick them up. And this is a process for most people out there, that a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, people who work with children, educators, that starts very early on. So you build the personality of the child between 0 and 6. So important are these years of how you treat them and what you do with them. But that said, for parents who feel that they have teenagers or they have missed this opportunity, it's never late. It's never late to build good relationships with your children. So
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you. And the guilt part is very real in moms and dads. And at the same time, what you said, modeling is very important. So if you do feel guilty and you express that, that's what children pick up, and then later on in their life, maybe they will feel guilty for something. So, we're not perfect, of course, and nobody talks about being perfect parents.
Of course, yeah. Unfortunately, we have this notion I can be perfect, but it doesn't happen. Okay, thank you so much, Alexandra. I just wanted to ask you, for everyone watching, who is, especially if there are parents who have little babies, I feel that quite often businesses come up nowadays from parents who stay at home because they have this choice of saying to themselves, now I really want to take care of my child. What are some advices for people who are thinking of starting a new project? When is the right time? What should they do?
I think that now is the right time.
I always say that. I was sure you would say the same. When is the right time?
Now is the right time, because it's never a good time for starting the business. And you're always going to have, little kids, big kids. They're always difficulties in life and obstacles. So now is the right time. So I would say that if you have an idea and if you're excited about this idea, if it feels right inside, you start taking action towards it.
Yeah,
that's my advice.
Action is a big thing. Yeah. And I know how hard you work anyways, because it seems that you never sleep.
Yes.
Considering, that you're breastfeeding still and you are working every minute when Mike is sleeping. So
but it's my choice.
It's your choice. It's important for everyone to know. Yeah. It's a choice some people
Absolutely.
do. So. Thank you, Alexandra. I'm so excited for your for the journey and for the future, and for really looking for. So for every parents out there who are looking for some advice on strategies or tools or parenting, or if you have children who are in the age between 0, I would say, because although the journal is for parents from 7 to 11 or 12, really the resources that are on the Big Life blog, our Big Life journal blog, are just amazing. So I think everyone should be there. I'm borrowing quite often from you ideas, and I'm so glad that we met.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll do it again.
We'll do it again when you move to London.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.